We are now in April, the final month before your GCSE exams if you're currently in year 11, class of 2025. Now, if you're feeling stressed, maybe you've left it a little bit too late and you're now super overwhelmed at all the work that you need to do to catch up. Or maybe you've been the model student, you have all of these revision notes that you've been preparing throughout the year, you've got all of these flashcards, all of these notes, but now you're drowning in them. Let me show you your optimal Easter revision plan that not only will help you get ahead, but actually if you follow this plan and just these 5 steps that I'd like to suggest you really take seriously, by the end of Easter, you will almost be like, oh my gosh, I don't recognize that person who I was at the start of Easter because I feel super confident. I've really made the most of this time. And guys, always remember, it is never too late to revise, okay? And by the way, this advice is not only for GCSE English. Obviously, this is a GCSE English channel. This advice and this Easter revision plan applies not only to English, but across your other subjects, okay? So let's get to it. Let's say you're stressed out. You're like, oh my God, I don't know how am I going to get on top of all of this? I have so much to do. And now it's Easter. This is my final holiday. What should I do? What should I do? Let me show you guys exactly the steps to take before your Easter break is over. Make the most of this and you will literally get ahead and you will feel super, super happy that you've made the most of this Easter. You'll even look back on that person at the start of Easter and not recognize them, okay? And by the way, guys, I've literally created a free Easter timetable that you can use as an accompanying guide, okay? So for example, if you want to get ahead, and obviously as I'm going over this, you want to see how the timetable goes with these 5 tips, just download it, it's in the description box. Now, the first thing you need to do, right? You're feeling stressed out. There's so much to do, so little time. You have 4 weeks, then May, and your exams kick off. The first thing you need to do is at this stage, especially if you want to do really, really well in your GCSE exams, not only in English, but across all your other subjects, you have a vision of exactly where you want to go. You even know perhaps exactly what A-level you want to go for or which apprenticeship you want to go for, or even some of you may even know exactly what university you want to get to, right? So you have a vision, you know exactly where you want to go. So working backwards, during Easter, you need to plan your days, okay? And at the start of your Easter break, you need to sit down and do a brain dump. Like literally, if you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. What you need to do right now is sit down and do a brain dump of everything that you need to do, okay? So you literally just need to sit down and list out everything you need to get done, right? Maybe it's English, maybe it's specific modules in English, maybe it's maths, maybe it's science. Literally write every single thing in that list, right? So get it out of your head so that you're not so anxious and onto paper. And then make a revision timetable based off of this, okay? And by the way, you can make your own timetable, but as I've mentioned, I have created literally a free Easter timetable, which has slots in terms of breaks and so on, and how you can use literally every single day in the week to prepare, and all you just need to do is plot in your different subjects, okay? And of course, you can even take a hybrid approach when you're making this timetable. So you can download my free timetable, then the timetable that you want to use, and then use that as inspo for creating kind of a hybrid timetable, okay? But the most important thing, going back to this, is you need to plan your days so that you don't procrastinate, so that you don't waste your time, and so that you don't find that you blink and suddenly you're back in school and Easter is over. Then step number 2, okay? This is important. You need to write down each topic as you are plotting and planning your timetable, right? So you have this really pretty timetable, or you've downloaded my free timetable. You've got that in front of you. What you need to start doing is writing down each topic and module for each subject. And then as you're plotting, rank these modules and these topics according to your subject from most urgent to least urgent. And then as you're plotting what you need to get started with, always start with the most urgent. These are the ones where perhaps in your mocks you didn't do very well. Maybe you need to catch up and start working and buckling down to improve your grades there, okay? So then step number 3. As you are planning for your Easter, what is the next thing you need to do? I have written here hate. What I mean by that, and this is a very pro tip, is as follows, okay? You need to begin, firstly, with the topics that you hate, okay? It might be counterintuitive, okay? So some people, when they're studying and revising, they're like, oh my God, I literally cannot stand the idea of revision, let alone revising my worst subjects. And obviously, because this is an English GCSE channel, I always get lots of people who absolutely hate English, and they literally absolutely hate the idea of starting their revision with English. Maybe they prefer other subjects like maths and science. However, let me tell you why it is actually a better idea at the start of Easter or early on in Easter to start with the subjects that you hate before you transition to revising the ones that you love. The reason why you want to do the topics you hate earlier in the week is because, number one, when you're starting your holidays, at the start of your holiday, you just have more energy, right? Even think about it, just logically, at the start of the day, we always have more energy. And then as the day goes by, or in your case, as the days go by and the week passes, and then you go to the next Easter week, your energy starts going lower and lower, right? If you start working on what you hate, which is probably going to be your weakest subject, what that means is you firstly have more energy to start really absorbing information and knowing how to improve. But most importantly, because obviously you're not only going to study the stuff that you hate, you're also going to have time left over that you can look forward to with subjects that you love. My suggestion would be perhaps you can start the earlier part of your weeks in Easter by going over the topics that you hate, meaning you have on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the subjects that you love that you can then look forward to, okay? And those don't really need very much energy, okay? Then step number 4, revise in 2-hour blocks, okay? Move away from revising for like 10 minutes, then stopping, I'm gonna have a tea break, then revising for another 10 minutes or 15 minutes, picking up your phone, doing that. Having that type of fragmented study is not going to help you in terms of learning and starting to make leaps and bounds in improving, okay? What you need to do is set up focused and intense 2-hour study blocks where you put away your phones, maybe put it in a different room, put away all form of distraction, and for 2 hours you are focusing on one subject, ideally a past paper. And you then give a chunk of time to really focus and get into flow. And then after those 2 hours, have a 30-minute break, do whatever you want for those 30 minutes before you then launch into another 2-hour study block. That is my suggestion, and I suggest 2 hours because most past papers especially are between an hour and a half to 2 hours. Some go over, some a little bit less, but usually it's a chunk of time like that that gives you the opportunity to also do past paper practice. And of course, the most important aspect of all of your practice, once you've really plotted your time and so on, is to know whether you're doing the right thing and you're not going wrong. You need to figure out how to get some kind of feedback and course correct. What I mean by that is revision, obviously, when you're revising and trying to catch up and get ahead in Easter, it can be quite isolating, okay? Because obviously if you're really serious and you're like, I really want to do super, super well, social life is probably out the window, hopefully, if you're taking this really seriously by this stage, okay? You're not seeing your friends as often because you're not going to school and you're not maybe hanging out with lots and lots of people. And of course, even when you're studying by yourself to take in all of that information, meaning it can be isolating, but also when you practice questions and so on, you don't know, am I in the right direction? Am I not? Okay. So you don't know whether the more practice you're putting in, you're going more in the wrong direction versus course correcting and saying, okay, this is what I've been doing. Here's some feedback I've gotten from Miss or Sir, and now I'm going in this direction, right? So try as much as you can also during Easter, okay, to try and join some kind of booster class, some kind of group where you're going to be getting some feedback, okay? Maybe you're fortunate, of course, if your school has some intervention programs, definitely take up on that if you have that opportunity. But also, if you don't, okay, so maybe if you're not part of the lucky few who have intervention classes and so on during Easter, I am running booster classes and literature classes all throughout Easter from the 7th to the 13th, going over Macbeth, Christmas Carol, Inspector Calls, and so on. And those classes, right, which obviously you can you get my feedback, you know exactly how to answer and how to go up by 1, 2, 3 GCSE grades in your English upcoming literature paper 1 and paper 2 exams. But actually those classes, because there's so many students that join in, actually you also find that with classes like these and with these types of booster classes, you're also part of an environment with other students who also give you feedback, who also keep you inspired on this journey, who are also facing the same challenges and struggles. Actually, what was really interesting is in my previous February literature week, a large group of my students actually created their own Discord afterwards, right? To kind of keep each other encouraged and to focus on how to do really well. For example, the ones that were part of my Macbeth class had a Macbeth Discord group and so on, okay? So these booster classes are also useful not only in getting my feedback, because obviously you can interact with me and ask me the questions that you don't have anyone else to ask as you are practicing, but also, most importantly, you're part of a community of other students who have similar goals to you, and they can inspire you, they can encourage you, especially if you're finding that your motivation is waning, okay? So guys, as I mentioned, obviously, from the 7th to the 13th, I'm going to be running GCSE one-off Easter Literature Week classes, going over how to go up by 1, 2, 3 GCSE grades in Literature Paper 1 and Paper 2. Obviously, join in if this is going to be helpful for you as part of your Easter revision. And as I mentioned, guys, I've also added a revision timetable link, which you can download for free as part of you planning for your Easter week, okay? So I hope that helped, and I hope this gives you encouragement as you are really, really preparing to buckle down this Easter and make the most of it.